If you've never been here before, this is our video weather blog enabling you, the viewer, to be able to ask more questions about what's going on with the weather situation. We are based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just south of downtown, and this is where we are able to bring you more weather information than what you can possibly get during a regular 3-minute weathercast. So if you got questions about what's going on, please say so, and we'll do our best to let you know about what is happening. Let me get the monitor out of the way there so everybody can see properly. It is, again, peak of the week, Wednesday, and as of right now, we have let me just double check here. 31 days until the change in season. So we are rapidly running out of summer. 31 days, 2 hours, 11 minutes as of this recording, just past 9:45 Eastern. If you got questions and want to see more about what's going on with the forecast locally, check out our website, again, at the bottom of the screen at wdef.com/weather. And we'll have a lot of information coming up here for you. We'll talk about the tropics. We'll talk about some photography contests involving weather and climate. We'll talk again about what's going on with the forecast in the next several days as the temperatures head back upwards again. Wish we had better news on that, but for right now, things are going to be rather toasty. Once again, if we're lucky, we may see less in the way of anything involving huge amounts of humidity, according to what the National Weather Service is telling us. We'll come back to Island Cove in just a little bit. Should be looking very close to the area where the moon should be coming up here in just a little bit. Downtown Bailey's Heating and Air camera looking off to the east-northeast. Plainview Outdoor Advertising camera. All these cameras available on the EPB Fiber Optics Weather Cam network. 153 and 64 traffic light and moving along very nicely at this time. Much of what we're seeing tonight, again, is a little bit less in the way of clear conditions. Looking north from the News 12 studios on Broad Street on the Patriot Concrete camera, decently quiet here. Lots of good traveling conditions tonight. Heavy traffic at 2475 on the Tomahawk Crane and Rigging camera. So looking at some nicer conditions here. We have a lot more haze in the atmosphere, a lot more wildfire smoke. Lots of folks earlier on the footbridge and a few folks down toward Coolidge Park having some fun on Wednesday evening, but otherwise fairly quiet. And from the Chattanooga Zoo camera, hopefully a beautiful sunset tonight. We'll try to get a time lapse going on that a little bit later on. Temperatures back into the mid to upper 70s. Very pleasant, no problems at all for tonight. Those dew point temperatures in the 50s, that's bringing us in some drier air. Not seeing anything in the way of bone dry conditions, but nicer at the very least. Thank you very much, Bill Irwin from Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the view of scuba diving boats at sunset around Grand Cayman Island. That's our Langley Roofing weather window weather picture of the day. If you'd like to know more, all you have to do is go to our social media pages. Check out, again, our website, wdef.com/photos, and, of course, go to pictures at wdef.com. That's the email where you can directly send your pictures into, but you can drop them off at any of these other locations as well. Almanac page for the day. The bad news, we are now well above 7 inches behind on rainfall, so that is a whole bunch we're going to have to make up in the sometime before we get to the end of the year. That means, as of right now, with less than about 4 months left in the year, that means we've got to pick up at least 2 inches of rainfall to have a surplus by year's end. For the month, we should be at nearly 2.5 inches. We're barely just over 1/10 of an inch, and that is not good news, again, where it comes to anything involving the drought situation or for wildfires, for that matter. Beautiful on the temperatures, no question about that. A very pleasant day, cool this morning with temperatures back in the mid-60s. We did not make the record low temperature. That was possible, but it was not likely. So, again, 64, that was pretty nice, but it would have had to have been a really powerful punch of cold air to get us down to that record low temperature. And when you see record lows in the mid-50s at this time of the year, you know that is when you know that we are in the thick of summertime with numbers that not cool. That's as cool as it gets around here. 103, the record high set back in 1983. That was a pretty hot year, if I recall correctly there. Numbers again on the temperature scale, looking across the area near the top of the hour, 60s and 70s, beautiful, no question about it, but we do have a lot of hot air coming in well on down to our southwest. Doesn't look like much for right now, but that is going to be heading up this way and giving us some more warmer temperatures. No question there where that is concerned for tonight. Now, again, overnight we should not be seeing too much of a problem as temperatures will be dropping back into the lower to mid 60s. Not seeing anything in the way of record low temperatures, but it will be at least cool-ish. Now, over the next few days, things are going to kind of reverse a little bit. You have the News 12 viewing area here, southeast Tennessee, north Georgia, northeast Alabama, and extreme western North Carolina. This, again, is where we see the pattern start to change. Notice the winds still coming in from out of the north, thanks to that area of high pressure, which has now come from Hudson Bay down to the Great Lakes. It is now going to go from here all the way over to the New England area and kind of wander around here around the mid-Atlantic coast. Air around high pressure rotates clockwise in the northern hemisphere, so as this goes this way, winds will start to move from the north, turning around back to the south-southeast. That's going to bring in some more of that heat. If everything works, it'll be getting hotter, but it looks like a lot of the very sultry, moisture-rich air down toward the Gulf and the Atlantic will be staying that direction. National Weather Service Morristown, that covers part of the News 12 viewing area, seems to think that next week will be hot, yes, but not totally overboard humid. So good news again on that. We have plenty of smoke out there, a lot of local wildfires supplying a lot of that smoke, and some of that will be sticking around as we go into tomorrow, expecting another round of smoke. The heaviest smoke now getting moved over from Alabama and Georgia all the way back over into Mississippi. You can notice that massive smoke making its way in the next 24 hours off to the east as high pressure begins to move that smoke over that direction. So air quality across the area was not great. It was at a moderate category earlier, and it's improving a little bit as the particulates at this time of the day. During this time the sun is up, the sun heats the atmosphere, and that causes it to kind of roil and boil. That's normal. That's an everyday occurrence. But without the sun's light coming down, everything cools off and starts to settle down. So the air quality is still at moderate around Chattanooga and Hamilton County, but we may be looking for some improving conditions as we go toward tomorrow morning. On the maps, looking for the potential for some 60s and upper 50s into tomorrow morning, and then we get into tomorrow afternoon where we do see temperatures back into the mid to upper 80s. Numbers toward Friday morning, back in the 60s, maybe a few 70s off into Alabama. High temperatures on Friday, easily back in the mid to high 80s. Again, that's not record-breaking. That's still below normal. Let's hope we kind of stay on that side of 90. Lower to mid 60s for lows going into portions of the weekend. And then we see temperatures high 80s to lower 90s on Saturday. Note one other thing. Last night we talked about Thursday afternoon of a disturbance developing over the southeast United States, according to National Weather Service Morristown. But in this computer model run, we're not seeing much of anything going on. So we've taken the thunderstorms out of the forecast into Thursday. So we're not expecting any rainfall there. In a way, that's a pity because we could use that rain desperately, as we showed you on the almanac page, and chances of rain just not heading our direction. Likewise, over the next several days, it looks like the eastern half of the United States is heading toward well above normal temperatures. And that is where we're going to be staying, not only for the next 6 to 10 days, but as we get into and around the area of the end of the month and into September. That is where we see the temperatures maybe relax a little bit, maybe not quite as hot, but still on the above normal side of things. That is where we could see, again, the problems out there. So for right now, that is where we're going to be looking for those temperatures to be on the hotter side. Not seeing any great numbers there. Well, what are we looking at? Well, for right now, this is the way it pans out. Next several days, next best chance of any rainfall according to this computer model forecast is going to be coming up as we go into and around next Wednesday, a week from now. And even then, the chances of rain, according to what we are looking at, it is going to be east of Chattanooga, higher elevations of the Appalachians, and then only in those areas and only a limited chance of a shower or thunderstorm, and that is really about all that we have to take a look at for now. The temperatures, again, next couple of days wandering higher, and then we see again numbers back in the mid to upper 90s. For the foreseeable future, record-breaking temperatures, you have to get into the triple digits. Not seeing that for right now, but temperatures will be back in the high 90s and remaining there into the course of the next several days at least. So outdoor activities through the weekend into next week. Going to have to plan ahead for some hotter weather. Yes, there will be more humidity. It won't be bone dry, but there will be that heat. And with any extra amount of humidity, that is where we're going to be seeing the potential for anything in the way of rainfall that might help to cool us off and give us some relief from the drought. Anything going on here without any rainfall, we're going to get drier and drier and drier, which means the foliage is going to get, with the dry air in place, the foliage out there, weeds, grasses, trees, are going to lose moisture, and they are going to get drier and drier and therefore more susceptible to wildfire risk. So that is something we really need to pay attention to in the next several days, is the potential of that dry, not tinder dry, but dry enough to where a wildfire from a stray cigarette butt could start a major grass or wildfire, which could threaten property or life, health, and safety. So we have to be very careful with anything involving fire the longer we go without anything involving rainfall anytime soon. All right, quick check of the tropics. There is really not a lot going on at this point. We did have Ernesto. Ernesto is now way up over the limb of the globe here between Iceland and the British Isles, bringing some breezy conditions there. Carlo weather in Ireland showing some of those breezy, rainy conditions there. For the Atlantic, there's just not that much going on. And into around areas of the Pacific, we have not only two disturbances. We've got number one farther over toward Hawaii and disturbance number two, both about 80% possibility of developing into something. In between there, we've got hurricane, what was a tropical storm just about 24 hours ago, Hurricane Gilma, and those winds are up to 105 miles per hour. So we've got a strong Category 2 hurricane in the Pacific. All of these are generally going in the direction of the Hawaiian Islands. Not a direct hit just yet. Several more days before we see any impact out of this nearing Hawaii, but that's something to watch out for too if you're heading in that general direction. But for right now, does not look like anything major. Over here, we've got more dust coming in from off the Sahara Desert, and that is going to be pushing its way to the west. Most of that is going to do a very good job of blocking out sunshine, so we should not see anything in the way of development. But over the next several days and weeks, this area, again, north of South America, well off to the east of North America, is expected to be the area where we see a big uptick in the direction of more storms. Remember that we have not even hit the peak of the season just yet. We're getting closer. The halfway point of hurricane season is September 10th. So we are going to be seeing that possibility of more storms coming up. A lot of people have been chiming in on social media saying, oh, they said it was going to be a terrible season and nothing's happened yet. Well, we're only up to the fifth named storm, Ernesto, and we've only had two hurricanes so far that did anything, and that one only became a major storm, if I'm not totally off on my statistics there. But for right now, we've got a long way to go, a long season, and if you're going anywhere near the ocean in the eastern part of the Americas, you really want to watch what goes on here. Be weather aware, be ready to move and get to a safe place should it become necessary as these storms begin to develop and move across the ocean. We are, again, in a kind of a perilous place right now. It's very quiet, so the ocean is kind of absorbing energy, waiting, and that heat in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, nearing over 90 degrees. Not the air temperature, the water temperature is almost around or over 90 degrees. The hotter you go over 80 degrees is where more moisture from the surface can be released into the atmosphere, and that is what these type of storms love. That is rocket fuel. So if a storm happens to wander over this area and gets very hot very quickly with plenty of warm, moist air, that is where we could be seeing the potential problems coming on through with, again, rapidly developing storms. So, again, let's be weather aware as we take a look out there. International Observe the Moon Night is coming up. If you'd like to know more about what's happening with Barnard Astronomical Society of Chattanooga, please check out their website. The event will be happening September 14th. You're thinking, oh, what's the big deal? I can go out and observe the moon any night I want to. Great, you should. That's what astronomy is all about, going out and looking up and finding out more about what's going on with news about astronomy, looking at nebulas, galaxies, all kinds of other stuff. International Observe the Moon Night was designed to incur and foster interest in science and astronomy. So if you go out and observe the moon on September 14th, think about doing so at Greenway Farm, 5051 Gan Store Road in Hickson. That's where the Barnard Astronomical Society will be holding their next star party, as it were. And if you'd like to know more, again, please go to their website at barnardastronomy.org for more on that. All right, for our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day, the new Swedish trend in where you go around walking or jogging and picking up trash. What is that called? Smash trashing, grump dumping, the garbage can, of which I'm very disappointed that not one vote was cast for that, or plogging. And the correct answer, 60% of you got that, is in fact plogging. So if you'd like to know more, head to our website, wdef.com/vote now. Use the QR code on your screen. New poll goes up at midnight if you'd like to check in. And a great way, I think, to make certain that we all practice the art of keeping track of our trash and cleaning up other people's trash, even if it's not our own, and keeping our planet livable and our home and space. Every little bit of what we can do, contrary to some grumpers out there, everything all of us can do all together. This is all of our planet together. We are one planet, as Carl Sagan said in his book and series Cosmos, and if we all work together, we can make a difference. And this is just one way that we can do so on things like that. So thank you very much, Friend in Roofing, for being our weather poll of the day. A couple of notices about what NOAA does, one of which is an open house. We've told you about this coming up in about a month at the National Weather Service in Morristown, and a great opportunity to learn about what NOAA does as a government agency, with, again, things like the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center, the National Marine Debris Program, anything like that. Really great opportunity to see. So plan to visit Morristown on September 28th. More on their website or on our website, wdef.com. Scroll down beneath the forecast and you'll see a lot more about what goes on there, and you can find out more about what NOAA does. Another program that NOAA runs is the NOAA Marine Sanctuaries area of the government, to where certain areas of beach, tidal property, undersea ocean areas are set aside to where no development, no mining, no fishing can take place. It's where the sea creatures and the environment can recover, recuperate, and flourish if we just leave it alone. So one great way to know more about that is to get pictures of that. And NOAA Sanctuaries is holding their Get Into Your Sanctuary program, to where they're going to have a bunch of topics about life in the ocean, life along the beach. If you're anybody who goes under and dives and takes pictures down there, if you think you've got a picture that might be a winner, now's your chance to prove it. The deadline is September 2nd. You can find out more at sanctuaries.noaa.gov. Again, one more way that NOAA helps to protect our planet. A lot of people think that all NOAA does is stir up trouble, talking about climate change as a hoax. Climate change is not a hoax. NOAA is studying it. We as humans are causing it and are mostly responsible for that, and we really need to watch what we do. And this is just one more way of being able to tell people about how important the environment is and why we need to preserve our planet to make certain that we are able to make certain that we take care of it. In fact, saying, oh, we don't have to worry about it, God will take care of it. Well, no, God gave us this planet as we are to be stewards of the planet and to take care of it. There's nothing that I have ever heard any preacher ever tell me to say, go forth and pollute the planet and don't care about what happens to your neighbor's environment or your own. So something to think about on that, to say that we are all responsible for what goes on here. So time to take an interest and an effort in that. On the other side of the planet, the World Meteorological Organization, the weather and climate arm of the United Nations, is holding their own photographic competition for the yearly 2025 WMO calendar. And if you've got weather pictures that you think will be spectacular enough, your deadline is a day earlier than NOAA's Marine Sanctuary date, September the 1st. Like to find out more about the contest, go to wmo.int. For all these contests, they have to be in, I believe, a portrait orientation. They have to be a certain amount of pixels. They have to be a certain format, but you can find out more about what all the rules are at wmo.int. So I think that should just about do it. We've been on only for about 20 minutes, but with quiet conditions out there, there's just really not that much going on. One more check at this time to see what's happening with anything involving carbon dioxide flux. It is still heading in the wrong direction. As soon as the carbon dioxide levels start coming down instead of going steadily upwards over the next several years and decades, which is helping to create a hothouse Earth, we need to see these numbers start to come down. And as you can clearly see, they are going completely and totally in the wrong direction. More about this from CO2.earth, and that data courtesy of the NOAA GML Mauna Loa data information from the observatory on top of a volcano out in Hawaii. If you'd like to see more about that, and we need to take some pretty good action, because as of right now, we continue again to see the numbers continue to soar, and not any less all the way out to the areas of the eastern hemisphere. 120.5 at Adrar, Algeria, one of the hottest days in August ever for that area of North Africa, and in Wadi al-Dawasir in Saudi Arabia, the hottest ever low temperature for an August night in central Saudi Arabia. 94 degrees was the low temperature. These are only two examples of what you can find out more about what's going on Twitter at Extreme Temps to see all these records that are falling, including, again, from yesterday. This was one of the most telling signs that has been seen in quite some time. Remember, in the northern hemisphere, we're in summer. In the southern hemisphere, we are in winter. And Cuiabá, Brazil, set the hottest winter temperature ever recorded in the southern hemisphere, not just in South America, but on the southern half of the planet, 107 in wintertime. That is extremely beyond not normal. That is one of the concerns, that we continue to pump the carbon dioxide and the methane into the atmosphere, which traps the heat. And until our oceans can catch up with the heat that we are pumping in using fossil fuels, causing climate change, we're going to continue to see more records like this. This is scary, and this is something that we need to grab a hold of and to watch and to see what goes on so we can take action. We need to elect leaders who understand and acknowledge climate change and who don't treat it as a hoax. That's up to us, the electorate, to be able to elect those leaders out there. So again, something to really, really think about at this time. All right, that should do it for tonight. Again, it is Wednesday, the 21st. I had the wrong date on Twitch the entire time. Apologies for that. I'll get that fixed for right now. If you've got questions, again, please drop by our website and to ask. Just all you have to do is email me. The information available at the bottom of the screen at aonic@wdef.com, and glad to answer any questions, what we can possibly do to enlighten and to give you an idea as to what's going on here. We can't do this without you. So if you have a question, please ask, and if there's something you want to see more of on here, great. If there's something you want to see less of, please let us know about that too. We're on Twitch and YouTube every weeknight at about 9:45 Eastern. So again, please keep it tuned to News 12 for more information. The Democratic National Convention is on live on CBS tonight for the third night running. We're probably going to be going late. We've been very late the last couple of nights, so News 12 at 11 has become the late edition of News 12 at 11, starting at about 12:30 in the morning. So we'll see what happens with the convention this time around. In the meantime, we'll have Dave Staley on the news, myself on weather, and Rick Nyman on sports. And, of course, we'll have Chip Chapman coming up bright and early tomorrow morning. If you'd like an update on the forecast, just drop by the morning show. That'll be on News 12 tomorrow morning starting at 5 a.m. All right, live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. This has been Weather Overtime again for Wednesday, the 21st of August, 31 days and counting until the change in season. We're coming up on autumn very soon. Wish we could say we're going to be getting more cool weather, but that's not happening anytime soon, sadly. I'll have more on the forecast tonight on News at 11, and stay tuned for another Weather Overtime coming up tomorrow night at about 9:45 on Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow.